My name is Jordan Burton, and, I feel like my being consists of what I put into the world and the characteristics that I'm aware I possess and unaware of that, affect my life and others in turn. I try and will create the hardest shit to myself above anybody else, but, for others to believe, to relinquish self-doubt. And, I'm obsessed with this vision that, I see on a day-to-day basis, and I would describe myself as driven and, always striving to make it reality. But I'm also, burdened by distractions, mindless, and, procrastination, and which are just complete results of fear of failure. And these are just the things that I'm aware I possess, but good and bad. So, along with the others, that's my being.
When did you first start getting into fashion?
Got into fashion like freshman year, high school, and then I just kind of played around with it for a while, and then senior year of high school I started getting into it like super serious.
How does fashion play a part in our society?
Honestly, like the concept of it's just so broad that like it would take, hours to cover every single aspect of it. So like we're talking like from the average Joe just like getting up in the morning, just, having clothes on already and like putting on another fit as it is, like having no idea what he's doing, like even if he isn't like, embedded into the fashion scene in the slightest bit, doesn't even think about it at all. So like the other side of the whole spectrum, just like, crazy elite designers like crafting these like collections that barely anybody's gonna understand, like, and all that space in between, like every part of it like matters just as much as the other part, like, so it just affects like the whole society in just different ways.
Why does fashion play a critical part in your life?
Honestly, like, I can't see myself like getting away from it in the sense that like it's just always something coursing through my brain. Like whatever I'll be doing, like I'll just like get inspiration from that, no matter what it is. It could be, the silliest nonchalant thing, and just like it'll like resonate with me in some way that like I'll have to write it down. I'll have to like, document it in some way so I can go back to it, even if like I can't create something in that moment. But like it's always just like with me.
What are your opinions on the fashion industry right now?
Honestly, I think it's like, especially like within the last like 3 years, like it's just like super attention grabbing, like, stuff. In the sense that like, all these like social medias that like have been implemented in the last like 3 years that like have really like gone into hyper like, attention grabbing, like, we're like really going for like, I'm looking at something for 5 seconds and then I'm gone. I don't even like care about it anymore. Like you have to like grab, all of your audience and like people outside of your audience's like attention like in the blink of an eye. And like I understand it for sure, but like it's in turn like, diminishing art of like what we do, and like that's where it gets to a point where like, all right, like let's not do this shit. So I don't think it's in a good place right now, but I think that, going into something that I want to change, like that I want to, make my own, I kind of have to hate the world that I'm going to destroy.
What's your brand's name?
The brand's name is Qailen Mingo-Long, and we deviated that from this Swedish expression that this part is Qailen Mingo-Long, which means Qailen Mingo-Long, and the whole expression means like don't sweat the small stuff. And the lettering that we like chose for it is like, interesting for me because cow is spelled C-O-W, it's K-A-U, and then there's an accent over the I that both this like Maori like tribe uses, and cow, K-A-U, means cow in Maori, and this tribe in New Zealand, and a prominent side of my family is from Spain, so with my brand I really want to connect, the world. I don't want to be tied to any like, you know, USA made, England made, like Italian made, like, you know, infatuations. I want to be more of a worldly brand that everybody connect with. So these 2 points, Spain and this, you know, Maori tribe in New Zealand, are like exact opposites of the world, you know, trying to like connect everything in between.
How do you see your brand affecting the industry?
I mean, so right now, you know, I'm just trying to push out my samples right now. I don't even really, you know, have everything together with it, but, you know, in making clothes and sketching it out, because, like, you know, sketching's like what I love to do, but what I really want to do right now is just, you know, go through the wins and losses of, you know, making my clothes for my personal enjoyment and then making it for money. But I think affecting, like, you know, my surrounding industry, like, shouldn't be something that I like necessarily try to do. I think it's just something that, you know, comes as second nature through like the innovations through like my craft. Like, I don't really think that it's a, you know, point in which like I go for every single time I'm sitting down to create something. I think I'm just, you know, sitting down and creating what I feel, and like in turn, like, sure, that can affect like the industry around me or whatever, but like it's not like something that I like desire to do at this point in time. You know, as I go on and as I like situate myself, like, you know, in fashion, sure, like it'll be something that like I'll think about more as I have a bigger voice and like, you know, more people will hear me. But like as of right now, you know, it's just about like making shit that.
How important is identity and knowing yourself in fashion?
I mean, it depends. So like, if I'm creating a collection where I'm pouring myself into it and I want you to see these parts that I'm pouring into it yourself, yeah, like obviously I have to be really concrete and know exactly who I am to like, you know, show that to you. But there's another like side of this whole spectrum in the sense that like I could be making shit out of complete confusion, and that might be what I'm trying to portray. It doesn't matter, like, if you know exactly who you are. Sure, like, we're getting into, like, you know, a deeper aspect of it in the sense that, like, you need to know what, like, your audience is. You need to, like, understand, like, what you're pushing out. But, like, as long as you're pushing out what you want to do, like, what you're trying to push out is, like, what you're, like, portraying. That's the only thing that matters. If you know yourself or you don't, like, it just depends on what you're doing.
What's your biggest goal with fashion?
Honestly, I mean, I want to be the best, but like, I also just want to have like the biggest, but like, to me, like, I'm not talking like the best to somebody else. Like, I'm trying to like be like the best version of myself in fashion, and then just like have the biggest brand to just like extinguish like any of my doubts.
What's your biggest fear in fashion?
As of right now, like, you know, the only thing I really fear is like my personal inhibitors, meaning that like, you know, I tend to procrastinate and shit, but like that's not something that like I fear. It's more or less the fact that like, you know, I'll have such a concrete image in my mind that like this has to be this certain way, and if I create it and it's not like that, like I fear that very heavily. But like at the other like side of it, just like if I don't create, like if I like, you know, have that constant fear of like it's not gonna be exactly what I want, like I don't think I'll ever be happy. So like I like toy with those two like sides like pretty constantly.
Do you fear failure, like not making it?
I mean, it just depends on like what your idea of like failure and success is. Like, I mean, for some like failures, like, you know, not getting a lot of money, like not getting on, not making a name for themselves, and then like their obvious idea of success is just like, you know, getting on, getting like hyped up, like getting popular. But like if your idea of success is just like creating your shit and like doing it right and like putting your soul into it and like, you know, really feeling that, like I don't think you could fail. Like even if you do, like, you know, never like make a name for yourself or anything. I think that's just like something that comes with it. But like I don't really fear the failure of that. I fear, you know, being scared to not do what I want.
In a city that's so big, do you feel it's hard for your voice to be seen or heard?
You know, I don't think that like being heard should be something that like you dwell upon too heavily. You know, if you're pushing out shit and you're screaming it, like if your voice is meant to be heard, it'll be heard. If it's not, then it won't. You know, you can craft the craziest shit you can get. You know, you can mend your skill set and be leagues above any of your peers, but it might not ever see the light of day. And at the same time, you can like produce subpar shit and you know get it out to the masses because you were lucky because you had connections. But like these two like ends of the spectrum, like this is like you know, I think that's like the true art of it in the sense that like if your idea of success is to be heard, then like you're you know you're sacrificing like that idea of like can I be heard or can I not be.